for Sheriff Al Neenhuis.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I know a lot of my supporters came out, and I really appreciate that. It's very humbling. I have a great family. I'd like to start off with that. My name is Al Neenhuis, for those of you who don't know me. I think most of you do, and it's Neenhuis. It's common spelling. So anyway, I do have a great family. My wife's here tonight. She's a great supporter of mine. She goes everywhere with me. When I've moved around the state, she's followed me, and that's been great. We're about a week shy, maybe a week and a half shy of being married 22 years, and I appreciate her every day. I have 3 lovely daughters. And we have a great team at the Sheriff's Office. I've been your sheriff almost a year and a half now, and I got to give all the credit to my team. I think we've really gelled well in the Sheriff's Office over the last year and a half. I'm kind of a numbers guy. I've been known as a numbers guy. I think you can't improve that which you can't measure. And we do a lot of measuring in the Sheriff's Office. Just about everything we do, we time or count. And, our response times are about half what they were in 2003, cut those about in half in the Sheriff's Office. That's great. Great tribute to the team there at the Sheriff's Office. We have the lowest crime rate in Hernando County that we've had in 15 years. Last year was our lowest crime rate in 15 years. That's huge. Our clearance rates are the highest that they've been in 15 years. Clearance rates are those we solve. Those crimes that we solve are the highest in 15 years. Arrests, they're up over 22% last year as opposed to the year before. That's huge. That's more people that we're putting in jail for crimes that are tracked by the federal government and the state government. That's a big deal. Our jail, many of you have heard me talk about our jail. We're doing great things in the jail. We took it over from a private vendor. And I think normally people believe that a private vendor can do it cheaper and arguably better or worse, but most people will agree that a private vendor does it cheaper when you give them a government function to do. Not in this case. My team and I took over the jail. Actually, the former sheriff took it over, and a couple months after we were in operation at the jail, I was appointed by the governor. And, we're doing a great job over there. We're doing it cheaper, less money, less expensive rather. Your tax dollars, using less of those to run the jail than the private operator. But we're not only saving money, we're increasing revenue. The private operator averaged about $40,000 a year in revenue from inmates, and we're averaging about $309,000. That's a huge difference, from 40 to over 300,000. So we're trying to attack that issue from both ends. We're doing it less expensive, and we're also creating more revenue. We use inmate work crews wherever we can. We try to get those inmates out working. It is voluntary. We don't force them to do it, but we get them out in the public cleaning streets. We have them helping the county. The county commissioners are really appreciative of that. They have a couple crews that can go out and actually do whatever the county needs them to do. We send a deputy with them. We have them at the landfill and some other areas. So we put our inmates to work. That's not even included in some of those figures I gave you. Volunteers. I am a huge fan of volunteers, and we use them in all aspects of the Sheriff's Office. They've been there a long time, but we've added a couple new programs in the last year or so. We call them our public service aides. They actually go out and they help the deputies answer calls for service that don't require a badge and a gun. If somebody wants their house checked when they're on vacation, we have a volunteer that can do that now. If there's a traffic crash, we have volunteers that go out and help direct traffic around that crash. So we've really increased the use of volunteers. Again, it allows us to keep our service level very high and our expenses very low. Command staff. Our command staff, usually you think in an organization, particularly law enforcement, it's kind of top heavy. In 1997, our command staff, we had 10 people, captain and above, and we only had 273 employees. Today, we have 2 less command staff. We only have 8, and we have over 500 employees, including the jail. So there's more than double the number of employees from 1997, double the number of employees, and there's 2 less command staff. So we are definitely leaner and meaner than we were even in 1997. There's still a lot to do. I would like to have another 4 years. You've had a trial period. You've had a unique experience the last year and a half. You got to try me out before you actually voted for me. And hopefully you'll find that my record is good. Like I said, I've gelled with the team that was already there. A lot of the successes that Congressman Nugent, then Sheriff Nugent, implemented, we've been able to expound on those and keep them moving in the right direction. But there's other things left to do. We have some creative things that we'd like to do, but you know, there are no easy and quick answers. Very few of the questions that get to my desk we can change overnight. It's a slow process because if we have a zero-fail mission. We get about 1,000 telephone calls in our comm center every day. A little less than that, 1,000. Do you know how many we get to make a mistake on? None. We have very good people. As the commissioner said, we have great people working in the sheriff's office. You know, my deputies on the road, they don't get an opportunity to make a mistake either. So when they make mistakes, they die, or somebody in the public may die. So I have some really, really great people, and I think we give them a lot of support, and they do a great job, and they're the reason that we've had all these successes. You know, economic development, we talked a lot about that. I tell you, I have an MBA. I just got it about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago. I finished it up at USF, go Bulls. You know, I grew up in a family business. So business is very near and dear to my heart. I know the community can't survive without business, small business and big business. So I'm a huge fan of business. I've been a Republican all my life. I grew up in a Republican household. I was fortunate. I have a strong faith. I grew up in a house that was very strong in their faith and strong in their conservative values. So I'm very fortunate in that way. But I'm a big fan of business. I know what it's like when you own your own business. I think everybody should own their own business or be in a family business because it's a struggle. So I understand that. I understand it very well. And I know that, you know, one of the first questions, whether you're a business or whether you're going to retire to Hernando County, one of the first questions you ask is how safe is the county, right? Most of you probably asked that if you came from outside the county. So economic development, it's very, very important that we have a safe county. And that's why my men and women work very, very hard to make sure that our arrests are up and crime is down, our clearances is up. If you're a victim of a crime, you're a lot more likely to have that solved. And I can say that we're seeing some fruits of our labor. This 6 months, I'm expecting great things this first 6 months of this year. Obviously, it's not done yet, and we always kind of knock on wood at the sheriff's office, but things seem to be going very, very well. Last year, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but our violent crime was down over 16% from 2010. That's a pretty good sized number. So things are going very, very well. And again, I got to give a lot of credit to the men and women that are sitting here tonight that are supporting me, and the men and women that are out there right now driving around. But it's very humbling for me to be able to lead them because they are a great group of people, and I would put them up against anybody when it comes to law enforcement. So I don't know how much time I took, probably not anywhere near 20 minutes, but if anybody does, about 10? Okay, well, I'm right where Shirley said I should be, so maybe I should quit. I know I'll get Shirley's vote. Anyway, does anybody have any questions? I'll be happy to, if anybody has any issues, specific issues they'd like me to address, I'll be happy to answer those, or if anybody has any questions.